Hello everybody. Today what we're going to be working on is a pickguard replacement for this Blacktop Fender precision bass. This is a 2013, I believe. I just picked this up recently. Plays really nice, but there's one issue. Yeah, there you go. And this the pickguard that's on there is warped. And while that really doesn't make a ton of difference, I guess I'd rather it not be warped. So I went ahead and ordered one from WD Custom Pickguards. No video is not sponsored or anything like that. I just I saw that they were one of the few places that you could get one for the Blacktop P bass, which has this humbucker style, I guess, like it's a double jazz type of pickup, and so they make one that that'll work on it. And I got it in this kind of like pearly red because I thought it would look good on the pearly white. So we're just going to be replacing it. It's not a big job, pretty easy to do. You only need a few tools. You need, of course, a Phillips screwdriver to get the screws off. This is what mounts the pickguard to the body itself. And then these knobs will have to come off. So you need an Allen key or Allen wrench or hex key for that. And then once we get those off, we'll see that there's a nut holding the pot on from the front, and then you just need a the right size socket, or you could use like something like an adjustable wrench if you don't have a set of sockets. Yep, we'll get right into that. I ordered it with new screws. I guess I really didn't need them, but it was an option for like $2 extra. I can put some screws in there, so I went for that. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. And you can do this job with without removing or even loosening the strings, really, because if you're kind of careful with it and you can finagle the pickguard, you can lift it up and just kind of pivot it, slide it out from under the strings, which you should see momentarily here. Okay, so that's all the mounting screws off. To get these knobs off, these are there's a couple different types of knobs. These are plastic knobs, but they have a set screw in the side. Yep, right there. That holds it on to the shaft of the pot there. There's other kinds which are just kind of like friction, like a press fit. You're going to take those off in a different way. Typically what I do with those is just kind of slip a rag underneath it and pull it off. With these, because it has a set screw, I really just get like a quarter or half a turn in this, and it's enough to just pop it off. And you can see there's that little set screw. That's what holds it against the pot. So, and there's that. There's a little nut we were talking about. So I'll go ahead and take the rest of them off. that one's a different size. So, 1 minute. Jump cut. So, if your knobs are like these, the jazz style where it's a volume, tone, this one's going to be smaller. So, I had to grab the correct size. And there we go. You should be able to just stick your so the regular shallow socket won't it fits over fine without the ratchet attached. I don't know if you can see there. It actually comes up into where the ratchet is, so that one's not going to work. You have to grab a deep well. And you're not cranking on it too hard. You're just getting enough to loosen it. You'll do the rest with your fingers. So you should be able to just kind of pull up on the pickguard and slide it right under the strings here. And you can take the rest, take the pots off. There. I suppose you wouldn't really want to get these in the wrong order back in, you know, because it's volume for this one, volume for that one, and tone. But as you can see, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of, the wires are formed so they'll kind of stay in the right spot, even when they're all disconnected from the pickguard. We're going to go ahead and open up the new one. I think it'll put it pretty good on there, huh? Of course, it has a plastic film on it to keep it from getting all scratched up. Although it is, I guess, a scratch plate, so it's going to get scratched up. But I guess before it gets to you, now here it is. It's even signed. Cool. Here is where the pots will go through. I'm gonna pop that out with a knife. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a foil, like a conductive shielding on it. It's just kind of laid over the holes there. So. I guess we'll just circle these right down there. Now you want to be careful whenever you're using a knife of any sort. You can easily slip, especially when you're holding something oddly shaped and holding it at an odd angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel up this kind of protective cover just where the knobs go. That way I can get them all in place, and then once I have this mounted the rest of the way, I'll pull the rest of it off. Man, doesn't that look nice? I think it's going to look pretty good. And assembly is just the reverse of disassembly. Let's start with these. When you're putting it back on, you want to tighten it down while you still have access to the back, because if not, you could kind of crank on this and get that pot spun around in there, which would be no good for those wires. They're going to be all because there's going to be stress on them, and you could potentially break them. And again, you're not cranking down on them real hard, just enough to keep them in place. I guess I probably should have done a quick test fit before I started jamming those on, but I suppose if it's not right, we'll pull it back off. There we go, the wires look good, everything's back where it was. We'll just do the reverse, slide this guy right back in there. I don't want to get these wires too jammed up in here. Actually, I'm going to spin that around a little bit. This one too. It kind of looks like it was making contact with the wood there. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Looks pretty good. The lines up really well with the neck and the pickup. The screw holes for the mounting screw holes are a little bit off. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is some of them that are really far off, like this one. Just gonna drill a little hole in there, because the last thing I want to do is kind of force this material together and have it buckling up again. I almost wonder if that was the original issue with this, because the original one was buckled up, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that.
2 hours later.
Okay, so what we ended up doing here, I glued wood in, little bits of wood, actually toothpick, in all of the holes except for these two. These two were fine, perfectly lined up. All the other ones, not. Some more than the other ones, I guess. Kind of, by the time it got down here, it was way off, so the hole is not really even near this. So I glued the wood in there, let the glue dry a little bit. I drilled new holes. You can do that, a little drill bit. I put a little tape on here to mark how deep I wanted it to go, because obviously you don't want to go crazy with it and have it go out the back of the body. So what we have now is a pickguard with a bunch of screw holes that are correctly lined up. So now we're going to continue mounting it up, and we'll go ahead and use the included pickguard screws, and we'll throw the knobs on there, and then we'll be done. So I think what I'm going to do is just so I don't capture any of this. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I'm gonna work. I think I'm gonna work that off as I put the screws on. So I don't know if it matters much, but what I did here is I got pretty much all the screws started, but I didn't hit them all the way home until I had them all in and started. I guess that way it, helps kind of locate it better without one being like, cranked down as hard as it can go. Oh, nope. Okay. Now we can put the knobs on. So what I'll do is the way these were before, kind of all the way at 11 was kind of facing you as you were playing. So that's how I'm going to do them again. Again, you don't have to go too hard with these. They're just little plastic knobs, just enough to get them tight. And remember, this guy is different than the rest of them. Lined up pretty much. Alright, good enough. The pack actually came with a bunch of extra screws, so that's cool. At least, you know, better too many than not enough. But yeah, there she is, finished project. And I think it looks pretty good against the kind of pearly white. And we did fix our original problem of a pickguard that was all buckled up. And this one is not. One of the reasons I went with this kind of color scheme specifically is because it's kind of the opposite of another bass. This one's a Lakeland, and it's kind of a metallic red with a pearly pickguard, and that's the opposite. So there we go. Job done. Thanks for watching.